Hello and welcome to another how-to video with the Kurzweil K27. In this video, we're having a look at the onboard effects engine. We'll be looking at some essential topics like signal flow, mod parameters, assigning controllers to effects units, editing and making your own insert chains, and so much more. So let's dive in. Most of our effects and mod parameters are going to be happening in program mode for this video. While effects can still be used heavily in multi-mode as well, where you can combine different channels and zones, the main concepts of working with effects on the K27 are going to be better explained through program mode. So I'm going to start off by opening up the effects page on the first piano patch in the sound bank. This way, we can have a look at what a finish chain looks like. It's always a good idea to work backwards like this, especially when you're working with a new feature. So I'm going to press the edit button once, move to the effects page, and give you a brief on what this page is about. So you have an insert chain here that's been selected. You can use the insert dialog box to skim through different effect chains. The row below the insert dialog box gives you a preview of the effects being used in the order of processing. You can also choose between routing the effects to either pair of the audio outputs, output A or B. Right below that, we have the aux sends. This is useful for effects like reverbs and delays where you want to send the basic sound to a separate signal path for processing. So with that, you can choose how much of the signal you want to send to the aux channel, either expressed as a percentage value or a decibel value. And just to be clear about that, the percentage value almost works like a dry-wet percentage control. It's going to make a little more sense when we assign a mod control to this. The pre-post option here lets you decide if the signal being sent to the aux channel is before or after all the effects you have as a part of your insert chain. So let's say you have a distortion effect in your insert, and you want to have a reverb on your aux send without that distortion effect. In this case, you'd set the value to pre. Also, with this pre-fade option, the level of your aux channel is going to be completely unaffected by the level of the program or the layer. You can also assign a mod control for the aux send level, so hold enter while you're in the mod box and move any of the physical controllers to use it as a send level control. The same basic controls can be applied to specific layers as well, as opposed to using it for the whole program. This is going to be on the layer effects page. On this page, you can choose between using program effects, layer specific effects, or using the effect unit from another layer within the same program. This really lets you customize the way each of your layers are going to sound, effects-wise. Regardless of how you set it up, the same basic controls and layout from the main effects page would apply here, including everything that follows. Now that we have this basic overview, let's dive deeper into the edit page for your insert chains. This is where you'd normally go to make changes to an existing chain or even make your own from scratch. So go back up to the insert dialog box on the main effects page and press the edit button. So everything that you see on these edit pages is what makes up a single effects chain. You can have up to 16 insert boxes and a large number of effect types you can choose from. This includes reverbs, delays, compressors, filters, distortion, Leslie speakers, and so much more. And also, we can have controller assignments for any effect parameters by which we can physically control these effects in real time. And you can customize how these controllers and the values interact by using LFOs, ASRs, and functions, all specific to the insert. Before we move on to an actual example where I can show you how to assign controllers, let's have a look at a couple of more basic essentials here on the main page. Firstly, the signal flow for the chain is something you have to keep in mind when you're working with insert effects. To put it simply in this case, signal flows from left to right. So what this means is the sound is processed by the effect unit in box 1 and then moves to the effect unit in box 2 and then is passed on to box 3 and so on. This is similar to the way signal would flow, say for example if you have a guitar pedal board. Moving on, you can also add insert boxes by using the insert pre or insert post soft buttons. So insert pre adds a box in the signal chain right before the actively selected box, and insert post adds a box right after. You can also delete any of these boxes using remove. You can also bypass or make any of these units inactive by using the effects bypass soft button. If you want to change to a different effect, you can either scroll or use the search feature where you'd press enter and press any of the numeric keys together. You type in your keyword and then press done. If you want to jump to a different effect type, which is going from reverbs to delays to filters and so on, you can press the plus and minus buttons together. Now you can also edit each of these insert boxes to fine-tune the settings for each unit. So simply select the box you want to edit and press the edit button. So let's say I want to change the feedback level for this chorus. I'm going to select it, press the edit button, and find it on the parameters page. By the way, each effect unit is going to have its own parameters and values. Again, you can control any of these values you see on the parameters pages using any physical controller you want. And also, if you see any values that read FX mod, you can't edit them on the parameters page, but instead they're going to be controlled using a modulation source, which is, again, physical controllers. So basically, any value that reads FX mod has a real-time control assigned to it, and you can find this on one of the mod pages. Now, let's have a look at assigning controllers to different mod parameters on a custom effects chain. For this example, I'm going to start off with this FM organ sound I've been building using the onboard FM synth engine. For now, I don't have any effects going on this, so this is going to be interesting. It's going to be a fairly short and simple demo, but it should help you get the hang of how you can assign controllers when you're making your own effects chain. So let's start off by pressing the edit button. I'm going to go to the effects page and set up a reverb using aux1. I'm going to select the reverb I want to use. By the way, you can also edit the effects being used as a part of your aux channel by pressing the edit button here. Again, all the same concepts, but it's all happening in the aux channel signal path. Now in the mod box, I'm going to assign slider number 9 by holding enter and then moving the slider. Now this controls the aux send level. Now in the insert box, let's start with insert chain number 1 and press edit. I want to change the existing box here to a different effect. Now using the number pad, I'm going to call up effect number 280. This is going to be a kind of a Leslie rotary speaker effect. So I like the way it sounds, so I'm not going to edit it. However, I do want to assign a physical controller to toggle the speed of the Leslie speaker between a fast and slow setting. Controller assignments are going to be done on the mod pages. All 3 of these pages are the exact same, by the way. So here's how it works. So I'm going to select the box number based on the box number on the main page. So for now, since we only have one box, it's going to be box 1. Next, I'm going to select the effects parameter I want to control as found on the parameters page. In this case, I want to control the speed. The adjust value is going to be slow. So the adjust value is a fixed value for the parameter when the controller isn't actively modulating it. Now in the source box, I'm going to assign switch 1 by holding enter and pressing switch 1. In depth, I'm going to go with the max value, which is 1. So that value is just the maximum modulation depth for the controller you've assigned. So with that, switch 1 should ideally control the speed of the Leslie speaker. Let's see if it works. Now back on the main page, I want to add a distortion effect. Now I realize I should have probably had this distortion effect first in the signal chain before the Leslie speaker. So I'm adding an insert box before this one by pressing the insert pre button. So the controller assignment I did before this for the Leslie has now shifted to box 2 without having to change anything. And just to be sure, we can check this on the mod page. Now for my distortion sound, I'm going to call up effect number 310. I'm then going to press the edit button and set the warmth value at 1175 Hz. Now I want to control how much of the distortion I'm going to hear using the mod wheel and also combine it with the aftertouch. The reason I'm doing this is I want to distort the organ slightly when I'm playing by pressing into the keys, but also use the mod wheel to have an even level of distortion while I'm playing. And we can combine these controllers using a function. And we can find this on the FX LFO Plus page. So in the box that reads FX Fun 1, I'm going to assign mod wheel in input A and aftertouch or mpress in input B. Again, I'm simply holding enter and then acting on the controller. As for the function itself, I'm going to assign a simple A plus B function to combine the value of input A and the value of input B. Now back on the mod page, I'm going to select box 1, set the parameter value to wet dry, have the adjust value at 0, and assign the source to FX function 1. I can do this either by scrolling or typing 112 on the keypad. Again, the depth value is going to be 100%. So let's see what it sounds like. And when you're done working with your effects chain, remember to save it. And you can call up this effects chain using the insert dialog box. And of course, you can save all of these settings as a part of your program itself. Before I leave you with that, let's quickly have a look at the effects page in multi-mode. So I'm going to open up the first multi here, press the edit button, and move to the effects page. On this page, you can enable or disable effects chains for each zone, which is taken from the program being used for that zone. You can also have aux sends for each of these zones. The aux effects channel box here lets you decide which MIDI channel is going to be used for the aux sends. You can also override the assignment and choose what chain you want to use. You can also change the mod controller assignment for the aux send level using the mod override box. By the way, you can also apply effects when you're in song mode. The page is going to be the exact same as multi-mode for this. And with that, we've covered all the essential concepts and features you need to know to start building your own custom effects chains and also assign controllers to work with your chains. Hopefully you can try some of these features out for yourself. And if you want to use the FM organ sound that we saw as a starting point, you can find a download link for the program in the video description. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.